I have always loved the aesthetics of Aventon e-bikes, so I was thrilled when they offered to send me this Aventure for review. It is brand new for 2021, and it is Aventon's first foray into a true electric hardtail mountain bike. It combines beauty and brawn into an 8-speed fat tire e-bike with an integrated battery and a hub motor capable of peaking at over 1100 watts. Its sustained 750 watts means that it's classified as a class 2 e-bike, which means that you can ride it most places where non-e-bikes are welcome. That's really important to the riding that I do on nearly a daily basis. The Aventure is intended to allow you access to more adventuresome riding without cutting you off from the kind of riding that you'll find on bike paths or paved greenways. Aventon has a well-earned reputation for offering higher spec components than found on many similar e-bikes, so it's not surprising to me that the Aventure comes with things like hydraulic disc brakes, an 8-speed drivetrain controlled by a Shimano rapid fire shifter. The list of upgrades doesn't end there though, making the Aventure a very nice step up from many popular multi-terrain e-bikes. Aventon also sent me these racks about halfway through my evaluation, which is why you're not going to see them in my product close-ups that are going to be coming up. I always shoot that footage first thing right after taking a bike out of the box and putting it together, because I will never get an e-bike as clean as the day I put it together once I do the kind of riding that I do. And as you're about to see, the Aventure is perfect for the kind of riding that I do. The Aventon Aventure is a fat tire hardtail e-bike available in 3 sizes to fit most riders from 5'1" to 6.5 feet tall. This is the camo green, but you can also get the Aventure in fire black. Aventon is known for its beautiful frames with integrated batteries, and this Aventure carries on that design feature. The 48-volt, 15 amp hour, 720 watt-hour battery is removable and is made with Samsung lithium-ion cells. That is big enough to provide an average 45 miles of range from the efficient hub motor. Capable of a sustained 750 watts of power, the motor peaks at up to 1,130 watts to power you up steep climbs or through sticky mud. Like many other e-bikes, the Aventure ships as a Class 2 e-bike with both throttle and pedal assist limited to 20 miles per hour. However, you can remove the throttle to meet Class 1 regulations, or you can even boost the top pedal assist speed to 28 miles per hour per Class 3 regulations. Settings are changed via the full-color LCD display, which can be used by itself or paired with the Aventon app on your Apple or Android smartphone. More on the app later in the video. The control pad allows you to choose between 5 levels of pedal assist, with the thumb throttle giving you access to motor power when you don't want to pedal or when you want a little boost above your pedal assist setting. 180mm rotors sit inside Bangle Aries 3 hydraulic disc brakes for strong stopping power with good modulation. The 2-finger brake levers cut power to the motor when pulled regardless of pedal assist or throttle position. A Shimano Aptera rear derailleur shifts between the 8-speed 12 to 32 tooth cassette. The excellent Shimano Aptera rapid fire shifter is a huge functional improvement over the thumb shifter more typically found on sub $2,000 e-bikes. Most importantly, its finger and thumb triggers give you quick access to your desired gear without requiring you to shift your hand off the grip. 170mm crank speed, the 46 tooth chainring with alloy pedals provided by Feynman. Despite the beefy appearance of its fat tires and battery gobbling down tube, the Aventure's total weight is a class typical 73 pounds. The integrated battery moves more weight over the front tire compared to mid or rear frame mounted batteries. Dampening that weight is a Zoom Forgo Springer fork, providing 80mm of travel with your class typical preload adjustment and lockout. 26 by 4-inch Kenda Crusades provide the traction. Aventon went with the Blackwall version, foregoing the reflective sidewall in favor of spoke mounted reflectors. This definitely gives the Aventure a more rugged look, though anyone planning to ride on public roads at night should leave the easily removed reflectors in the spokes. Typical to e-bikes in this category, the Aventure includes a headlight wired into the main battery. However, a tail light is integrated into the left seat stay, which means it will be visible whether or not you load up the optional rear rack. The tail light also doubles as a brake light to warn drivers and other riders when you're slowing and stopping. The saddle is made especially for Aventon by Velo, the most popular OEM brand in e-bike saddles. It doesn't have a built-in handle, but the wide rear provides plenty of space to get a good grip when you need to. The Aventure comes standard with front and rear aluminum fenders, fenders, though the coverage is more akin to what you'd find on a typical mountain bike versus the larger fenders common to commuter e-bikes. The same components are found on the step-through version of the Aventure, except instead of 3 frame sizes, the step-through comes in small medium for riders from 4'11" to 5'7", and medium large for riders from 5'8" to 6'2". Both sizes are available in the same green camo I have, plus a striking red. Aventure Assemble. Like most e-bike companies, Aventon ships their bikes nearly fully assembled with the tools required to finish the job. However, the tools Aventon includes are much higher quality than typical, including a nice sized axle and pedal wrench that makes getting the right amount of torque on these important fittings much easier than with the tiny folding wrench normally supplied with e-bikes. This is a pre-production unit sent to me as media that had a little bit more assembly to it than the bike's regular purchasers get. Namely, the rear fender should be pre-installed and the front fender fully assembled and ready for installation, just as shown in Aventon's excellent assembly video. Not counting the time it took me to do those parts of assembly that will already be done for the general consumer, I spent about 25 minutes getting the Aventure assembled and bars adjusted for my preferred riding position. You don't have to be especially mechanically inclined to assemble the Aventure yourself. I recommend watching the assembly video if you have any doubts, but know that even if you decide at that point to contract assembly out, any competent bike shop can do it for you. Aventon ships the Aventure as a Class 2 e-bike with pedal assist and throttle limited to 20 miles per hour, but they give you the ability to change that so this can be a Class 3 e-bike where you can ride those. You can also remove the throttle if you're riding in a place that's limited to Class 1 e-bikes. Pretty much everywhere I ride, it's Class 2 e-bikes and below, so this is perfect for me. One of the first things that I get to test with a new e-bike on this test route are its brakes. And I've said many times that mechanical disc brakes are fine for most people. These hydraulic brakes are absolutely noticeable as a step up. It's not technically in being able to provide more stopping force because it's the same pads, the same discs. One of the biggest differences is these are hydraulic from the levers all the way down to the pistons. And so you don't have any cable stretch, you don't have any friction that you have to overcome with your grip in providing that braking force. And so these hydraulic brakes allow 2-finger braking with the same power as might take me 3 fingers to generate on mechanical disc brakes. That's really nice. This is an 8-speed with a Shimano rapid fire trigger shifter, which I love. I really cannot stand the thumb shifters that come on a lot of e-bikes because I hate having to shift my grip in order to downshift. Because a lot of times I'm beginning a climb when I want to downshift. But with Shimano rapid fire shifters, you've got the trigger to upshift, click, and you've got this thumb lever to downshift, and your grip never has to change. You can still hold on with all your might. You can crank on the bars as much as you need to, and you can select whatever gear you want. That right there is a big improvement in usability for me. One of the many nice things about the Aventure to find at its price point is that it comes in 3 different frame sizes: small, medium, and large. It's not a one-size-fits-all. This is a size medium. I am 5'8" with a 30-inch inseam, and this is a fantastic size for me. I fall kind of in that overlap between a small frame and a medium frame according to their size chart, but I'm really glad I went with this medium. Even though this is the mid-size frame, it's more compact in a good way than the one-size-fits-all frames that come from other manufacturers. You can hear I'm winded because I ride an e-bike to help me get up climbs that just wreck my lower back. if I really crank on the pedals. But I still want to exercise. I'm not out here for leisure. I don't blame people for wanting to get e-bikes for that, but the Aventure is so named because it's geared towards people looking for adventure on their bike. So a lot of its components are geared towards riders that might be a little more aggressive than your typical buyer of an e-bike in that sub $2,000 category. The frame isn't just gorgeous from the side, it's gorgeous looking down. As a rider, this feels so sci-fi to me. It looks fantastic. I'm not a fan of form taking precedence over function, but this is a case where they can have both. They have a very beautiful frame that is very rigid and it hides the battery. The tires are the Kenda Crusades, which are among my favorite fat tire bike tires. They're very aggressive for trail riding. They do great in the slop. They do great on hard pack. They do great in sandy soil. You just have to adjust the pressure to what you need them to be for the surface. But they're also relatively quiet on pavement. You're not going to be scaring pedestrians coming up behind them like some off-road tires. It has a very nice, it's not a solid bead down the center, but it's a nearly continuous line of knobs that really helps reduce the rolling resistance and really helps keep the noise down. I know this is pretty glary on video. I said in other reviews that I don't really need a fancy display, and I don't, but I do appreciate a fancy display when I have one. This is a very beautiful LCD screen. It's very bright, really easy for me to see in bright sunlight. Another nice thing about this frame is the water bottle cage mount is in a sensible location. And I do a lot of riding, so it's easy enough for me to reach down there and grab my water bottle and drink from it and put it away. There are a lot of e-bikes that have water bottle mounts in places where I do not want to have any hunk of metal sticking out because it's going to be quite painful if you wreck. Not so with the Adventure. I have no problems having whatever kind of cage I want mounted on the frame. It's very well protected. It's away from my legs. It's away from my crotch. And it's easy enough for me to grab while riding. So like I said, this is set up as a class 2 e-bike with the motor shutting off completely at 20 miles an hour. One of the things I did notice is the motor does soften early. And because I'm sitting upright with the wind in my chest, going slightly uphill, the pedal assist is there, but it's too weak to overcome the air resistance and the grade to get me to 20 miles an hour. Now I could change that in the settings. One of the things that I don't like about this pedal assist system is that when you have pedal assist set to 0, the throttle is completely dead. So when you come to a stop like this, an intersection where you're going to want to use throttle to get through, you have to make sure you have at least pedal assist level 1. As I said, I'm 5'8", 30-inch inseam, and I have no problem standing over this bike. Nothing is uncomfortable. Nothing's pushing me in a place where it's a problem. This is a great size for me. Here you're going to see the difference in this fork. It's way quieter in action. You hear kind of that oily piston sound, but no rattles, no buzzing. It is a step up from the forks that are normally spec'd on sub $2,000 e-bikes. It's a very nice fork. It doesn't have rebound adjustment, but that doesn't mean it has zero dampening. There's some dampening built in. This frame is very stiff. So the suspension in the rear is really the tire, whatever PSI you have it set to, and the saddle. The saddle is made by Velo, which supplies most of the saddles in that sub 2,000 price category. It's made especially for Aventon. It's very similar to saddles you'll find on other bikes. It's not a big fat granny saddle, but it is wider than a standard sport mountain bike saddle. It provides ample cushioning for me without being so wide in the back that it gets in the way of my thighs when I crank up climbs like this one. And you can see pedal assist 0, and I'm doing a climb, and I know this is a 75-pound bike, but no issues with it feeling burdened by the fact that it has a battery and a motor in the back. Even though I'm not on a trail anywhere, this is as good a climb to talk about the first gear that they chose. I really would like a lower first gear than this. Here I am doing 7 miles an hour, and my turnover is a little slower than what I like to have. And so I actually have to use pedal assist 1 to keep me at this turnover. I'd really like a shorter first gear, not just for climbing hills off pavement, but even grinders like that one. The control pad is really nice. It's very easy to feel where the different buttons are, even through gloves. They're raised and they're sectioned enough that I don't need to look at all. I could just find whatever button I want and push it very easily. I really like that about this control pad. These grips are another sign that Aventon built this bike for riders that are looking for a little bit more than your typical purchaser of a sub $2,000 e-bike. They're real deal mountain bike grips. They are very grippy, very rubbery. They are perfectly cylindrical so that your grip doesn't change no matter what your hand position is on the bar. But most of all, there are bar locks at both ends of the grips. These metal rings have locking screws on the bottom. I could feel them even though you can't see them from this perspective. But that's to ensure that no matter how hard you're cranking on these bars, they're not going to rotate in your hands like can happen with those beefy ergonomic grips that you find on a lot of e-bikes in that sub $2,000 range. The point of e-bikes is to have a motor to provide the assistance that you need when you need it. A lot of people use e-bikes kind of like electric scooters or electric mopeds or electric motorcycles. I'm not gonna judge, but for me, I really want to get a workout in. I want to ride as much as I can with human power. And one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of e-bikes is they're fine as a bike. They're really geared a lot around providing you with that assistance. Well, the Adventure doesn't just cosmetically hide the fact that it's an e-bike. It performs without pedal assist, very much like a standard fat tire e-bike. It is very sporty, very nimble. Yes, you still know you're bombing down a hill with an extra 75 pounds of momentum above your body weight, but it's still super controllable. From here out, it's almost all downhill. And wait till you see what this bike can do. No pedal assist. Tires are great around turns like this. Hopping out of the saddle, get some speed, no pedal assist. Set of whoops. Woo! Little brakes. Watch that crank on a turn. This is so nimble, so sporty for an e-bike. More whoops. Whew. Oh, woo-hoo-hoo. Oh, so fun. Out of the saddle. Keep the speed up over that little climb. Got a blind curve coming up here. Those hydraulic disc brakes give me all the stopping power I want. Downshift out of the saddle. More whoops. Woo! Tires are sticking like glue in the turns. Another blind turn, slow down. This is two-way traffic. Oh my gosh. That is so fun. This is an e-bike, but it is just a great bike. Just a great fat tire bike. Now we're gonna turn around and climb up that thing. All right. Yeah, so you know you're working hard if you get winded bombing downhill. And I love that. So it's impossible to show on these videos how steep little climbs like this are. But here I am, level 2 pedal assist, and you can see the power bar going across the screen. As I start to slow down, it's providing, look at that, look at that. That's like over 1,000 watts right there, kicking in to get me back up to speed. That's what speed-based pedal assist does. It's gonna vary the amount of assist that it gives you based upon your speed. The closer to zero you are, the more power it's gonna give you, and then it tapers off based upon the speed that's set in the settings for each of the pedal assist levels. I wish I had access to that information. I wish I could change it, but I can't. But pedal assist level 2 on a trail like this with two-way traffic, where I'm not trying to race up the hill, that's more than adequate. Hear those whoops again. But this shows how great this is as an e-bike, as a trail-worthy e-bike. There we go, get that pedal assist kicking in. Lots of watts there, keeping me going up those little short rises. This is such a fun bike. It is a great e-bike. It's a great fat tire mountain bike. I think Aventon really knocked it out of the park. What really shocks me is that currently the MSRP is only $1,900. Now, I suspect that's gonna go up as the year goes on, because people are just really hitting the e-bike market hard, and supply for components is getting quite strained. So prices for manufacturers are going up and up and up. But it's really helpful to think that this is just a couple $100 above that price point of $1,500, $1,600 that a lot of bikes are, that are sold kind of as multi-surface e-bikes. But you get a lot of upgrades for that $300-400. You get an integrated battery in a gorgeous frame, in a stiff frame that you can buy in one of 3 sizes. You get hydraulic disc brakes. You get a Bafang motor that's capable of over 1,100 watts peak. You get a thumb throttle. You get a color LCD. You get Shimano rapid fire shifter and 8 speeds. You get a bright headlight and an integrated tail light. I'm never gonna make light of how much these things cost. $1,900 is a lot of money to a lot of people. But when you look at what more off-road performance-oriented e-bikes go for, I see the Aventure as being a great value. It is a hardtail, it is a hub motor e-bike, and that means that there are going to be some compromises in performance. This will handle single track, but you don't want to be jumping with this thing, doing ledge drops. That you should leave for the mid-drive $6,000 plus dual suspension e-bikes. But this is perfect for getting you out to your adventure, whether it's on a paved greenway or in a state park like this. It's capable of providing you with a lot of assistance if that's your thing, if that's what you want. It's capable of being ridden as a fat tire mountain bike without pedal assist, without feeling like you're being encumbered by the fact that it is an e-bike. I think that's my favorite thing about this bike.
Another cool feature you're getting for that small premium over other e-bikes is that new for Aventon companion app that connects your Adventures display with your smartphone via Bluetooth. This was still in development as I made this video, but the idea is that this main screen provides you with real-time riding data meant for when you might have your phone mounted somewhere you can see while riding. The headlight button toggles the actual headlight and tail light. Other controls are accessible in the settings menu, including brightness of the Aventure's LED display, maximum assist speed in kilometers per hour, as well as the ability to toggle the pedal assist level. The app also includes built-in ride tracking that uses the GPS in your smartphone with real-time gauges, again meant for you to view as you're riding. You can then review your saved rides and even share them with other Aventon app users if you want to. You don't have to agree to tracking to use the app, nor is the app itself required to use the Aventure. It's just an added feature for riders who already like to track their rides with third-party cycling apps.
The position of the integrated battery is more than just aesthetics. I think it actually helps with the balance of the Aventure because it's lower to the ground and farther forward than you can get with a battery that you mount on top of a down tube. Its current MSRP of $18.99 plus free shipping means that it's only a couple $100 more than more basic e-bikes you find from other manufacturers. That's why I think the Aventure is a very good value for people looking for a step up in the basic components that you find on those kinds of bikes, like thumb shifters, 7-speed drivetrains, and mechanical disc brakes. That's even before you get into things like its smartphone app or its beautiful frame with integrated battery and integrated taillight. Aventon warrants the frame for the life of the original purchaser, by the way, with everything else warranted for a year. If you're interested in getting an Aventure for yourself or any Aventon e-bike, please use the link in the video description. It'll help support the channel. Be sure to subscribe for more e-bike videos. I really appreciate you watching The Tech of Tech, and I hope to see you next time.